November, this one. This one.
I see the graph.
Okay, let's do this all over again. Yes. Okay. Okay, all the way from Delray, doing amazing work in our community, which we're so grateful for. Ladies and gentlemen, a rousing applause for Mr. Emanuel Jackson.
All right, well, good morning. Right on time for Short to show up.
Yeah.
Good morning, Short. How you doing? All right. Good morning, Watson Institute. My name is Emanuel Jackson. I'm the founder of the EJS Project, and I can't wait to get into that, the work, but I'm more ready to dive into the journey, how it takes to get to a point where I'm even invited to come speak to y'all. Let me start off by saying how thankful and grateful I am to James, Watson Institute, to Ara, even though I just put on the spot, to Shore, definitely to the guests who made time to come join me, my sister, I want to reference her a lot, my amazing wife, and one of our board members, Bob. Thank y'all for showing that love. Round of applause for y'all. All right, y'all. So before I even jump into the slides, I just want to kind of give y'all a little disclaimer. This hopefully is a little different from what y'all are used to, or I'm not sure what y'all expecting, but I'm gonna tell y'all, this is really going, for me, going to be a discussion. I want to share my journey, my life. I'm a talker. I have 100 stories to tell, so that's been my biggest challenge, trying to decide what stories I want to share. But I hope you take a lot from my message, my journey. Please write notes as far as questions, things that I might say you quite don't understand, or why you took that route, or what did you mean by this, or can you go deeper into that experience? I'm gonna open the book. I love to share it with you. Just my time is limited, so I gotta compartmentalize what I want to say, what I think they're gonna get out. So if I cover anything you want to elaborate on, that's why we have Q&A, and also we're gonna share my email and all that information. Everybody cool with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's jump into this discussion. We'll jump right into early childhood. My clicker. So, okay. Oh, Avenue. So early life. The man to the top left, that's my dad. That's Emanuel Charles Jackson Sr. The lady to the bottom right corner, that's my mother, Mary Michelle Woods. That handsome fella in the middle, that's me. To the left, that's my older brother, Mikey. Kids, you know I love y'all. Know why you didn't make the slide, but my sister's right there if y'all want to see her. And again, just to be transparent, these slides kind of help. These are my bullet points. This whole lecture or conversation is really going to be off the top of the head. So that's one thing I can guarantee y'all is going to be unique to this experience. I'll never tell the same story the same way twice. Why I did share these pictures is because it's two very huge dynamics as far as how I was brought up and their background, how they was raised, and what they poured into me and what I took from them. I guess I'll start with my mom. You know, being born and raised in my mom's household in Delray Beach, I learned a lot. I had a lot of freedom. Things that I find really important as far as being kind to people, being understanding, having patience, being generous. I give a lot of those attributes or qualities. I give her credit for those because she was that in so many ways. She had a huge heart. But one thing that she lacked was discipline. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I was spoiled. I could do what I want. I did no wrong in my mom's eyes. When it came to schools calling, my mom always depended on me. I'll just tell you that's the type of mom I had. My dad, the opposite. My dad did not play the radio. And you know, my sister will tell you, she never had to live in the same household as my dad. But even when my dad came around, he was a gentleman, just demanded respect. I had cousins, you know, older brothers, older sisters. They never said yes, sir, no, sir, in any other circumstance. But my dad walked in the room, yes, sir, Charles, no, sir, Charles. He just was that type of person. And a lot of the qualities that he gave me were, you know, being hardworking, being determined, not taking any mess from anybody. And he also gave me examples. He's always talked about like the Jackson name, how important it is to believe in yourself, know when you go out into the world who you're representing. All those things stay with me too. It's important, I mentioned the dynamics, because just like I said, my mom lacked discipline. My dad, I feel like he went overboard. I don't know, this day and age, I'm just gonna be real with my story. I got real butt whoopings when things didn't go right. So when I got in trouble at school, not only did I get in trouble in school, when I got home, it wasn't like my mom's house. He never took my side. It was always, they were always right. So I was disciplined a lot, and but I took a lot from those lessons. So big dynamic in both worlds. What's important to mention with this for this conversation is also one thing they did have in common was our socioeconomic, like household level. Like whether I was with my dad or with my mom, to put it bluntly, I applied for free and reduced lunch and I qualified. All right. So that was common. Education, my dad did graduate high school, my mom didn't. But education was pushed more in my dad's household than it was in my mom. That's important too for later on in the conversation. I want to make sure I'm staying on my notes. What's important? Growing up in the household, foreshadowing a little bit, talking about challenges, because I put in my bio, I don't hold back now as a professional. I put in my bio having to deal with what they call adverse childhood, what it is, effects, what's the ACEs? Anybody familiar with ACEs? You never heard of ACEs? So it's a test that they give in schools to youth to determine the kind of experiences they have been exposed to, whether it's abuse, circumstances in the community, being violence, drugs, or anything. And they rank you, they will score a kid based off their responses. And I took the ACEs test twice. As y'all can imagine, I scored off the roof, you know, because I was exposed to everything, a lot of things early. We talk about one thing I want to get into that's close to my work now is mental health. I was exposed to that. I didn't know what I was seeing, what I was going through, but I just knew it always being prevalent in my household. So much so at one point, I think I was a ninth grader. Yeah, I was a ninth grader. And my mom had to go to a mental institution for about 2 or 3 months. And that was the first time it was kind of just my sister and I on our own. And she stepped up. She couldn't have been no more than what, 16, 17 at that time? So she was young. You know, she seemed older to me then, but she stepped up. She was responsible. I didn't miss a meal, didn't miss school. Bills were paid. I don't know how she did. Y'all can ask her that story on the side, but I could remember my mom being gone, but not feeling like I was alone. It was always being supportive. We would go check on mom, call on mom, be that answer phone at a certain time for mom. It was, I don't know, I was just dealing with it, you know, and I couldn't understand at that time at the young age what really I was dealing with or being taught how to deal with. Another thing that was prevalent in my mom's households was, you know, for better or worse, good and bad, was drugs. I always saw it. I saw the drug users, saw the drug dealers. You know, our house was a house where everyone was welcome. And a lot of my people I looked up to, aunts, uncles, they fell victim to being addicts and were in the street. And when you're at your lowest point in life, you found out who's for you. And a lot of people, you know, if they're in a relationship, their wives, their parents, we talk about my relatives, they would disown them. They would distance themselves. They don't have nothing to do with them. But talk about that lady right there, that big heart, Mary Woods. Come on in. Y'all welcome here, baby. And I always have some feelings because, you know, in a lot of ways, I'm the same way as my mom. But sometimes I wanted my own space. I wanted to be like a normal kid. I hated at the long binges at night, doing whatever they were doing on the street. They would come home and be asleep by the time I wake up to watch cartoons and had already ate a bowl of my cereal and my milk. I'd be like, hey, man, what's up? You know, like, what's up? But that was my mom. She always made room for anybody who needed somewhere to go, someone to listen to. In some ways, almost to a fault. Because I watch her in the back end of her life. A lot of those people that she always was there for wasn't there for her, you know. But that's another lesson that I'm learning. You know, you got to be intentional about who you lend your time, talent, heart, understanding too. So I hope y'all learned that too. So I'll move on to the next one. Some of my early struggles started really in high school. And my biggest struggle was finding out what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. Did I want to be a product of my environment, doing things that I see, dealing with a lot of those same challenges, navigating them? Or do I want to kind of set a path forward for myself? Luckily, I chose to set a path forward for myself, but I'll be honest, I did dabble in the other stuff too. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm not here to shortchange y'all. But I'll start with that like high school journey and really not taking education very seriously. And one of my first learning experiences now when I look back on life that kind of still sticks with me was the first time my effort or lack thereof in school kind of came back to bite me it was over the summer. It was the first time I started taking football and exercising really seriously. It was summer going to my sophomore year at Boca High. I was at summer school, getting my grades up. I knew if I did everything right, I would be eligible. But something came up, my behaviors, my action, that got me suspended and kicked out of summer school. So I ended up having like a 1.8. I needed a 2.0. So I wasn't eligible my sophomore year. And right at that time, an opportunity presented itself to me. And the opportunity was, okay, I had downtime now after high school, no football practice, staying at the activity bus. They kind of didn't want us on campus because we'll probably start trouble. One day I caught the bus and I went to Pompey Park, and they had a little league football team. And the leader, president of this club at the time was Darren Haywood. They called him Pony Boy. And Pony Boy was a friend of the family. I had always known him. And he asked me what I was doing here, man, you supposed to be balling while you're in there. I was telling him, I ain't have grades. And he had a little vision at the time. Again, I don't know this at the time, but now looking back, he gave me an opportunity. He said, you know what? Instead of you coming home every day and potentially getting in trouble, you need to start focusing on your grades. And how about you coach one of these teams? I thought he was like being an assistant coach or whatever. But no, he made me a head coach of a little league football team. Here I am, 15-year-old sophomore at Boca High. And now I have a little bit of responsibility. And I'll tell you, I'll fast forward to the first moment. And I'll foreshadow this moment by saying now, it's a quote. If anybody here know who Nipsey Hussle is, you know who Nipsey? He has a quote. It's like the greatest human act is to inspire. And that resonates with me. The first time I heard it, I got chills, and I still do when you talk about that. And I thought it was just a feeling that I was getting from the kids or from having a certain responsibility, but I realized it's something priceless about feeling like you are doing good or leaving people better than they were before they met you. I'll say it like that. And I remember it was 126 Southwest 6th Avenue. Same house. I have a lot of stories, all this activity I was telling you about. This is where a lot of this happens. But I remember coming home from school and Darren coming and dropping off a box, and it was a blue shirts with the gold numbers. They were our kids' jerseys, and I had to name my team. My favorite team was the Jacksonville Jaguars. So of course I named our team the Jaguars. And I remember that sense of pride, having that box, checking my list, my roster, excited to get out to practice that day to pass out jerseys to these kids. That's a sense of responsibility. I told that story because it's hard to put into words. That was my first taste of what I'm doing now. Like, I felt pride, you know what I mean? And it gave me direction and a reason to focus harder on school, to be an example for these kids, And also when I got back to playing football, I was a better player because I had a responsibility of being a coach. Imagine trying to tell kids to do this drill, this drill, this drill, they run around. I understood the frustration from that side, so it made me a better player. You know what I mean? So, all those things played a major part. Fast forward to my senior year, where all that sounded good, but I was ineligible in my 11th grade year too, y'all. So some stuff, I had to figure it out. But senior year, I got it together. So I played football my senior year, and I remember the positive peer pressure that came with it. A lot of my friends were getting scholarships, letters, during lunch, coach bringing scholarship letters. They were going on visits, flying out, having nice meals and hotel stays. And I'm gonna be honest, I got jealous. I was like, I want some of that too. I want to leave Delray. I want to go eat, stay at nice hotels. And that positive peer pressure forced me to kind of buckle down For my last year and a half, I did credit lab, so I got eligible. My grades were a lot better. And I had college interest, but because I had slacked so much before, I just wasn't eligible to go to any kind of university to get scholarship money offered. So I had to take a long path. I went to a junior college way up north Minnesota called Hibbing Community College. And before I got there, you know, they had not been a winning program. We turned that around. But my first year of college, I end up reverting back to some of my same habits, just football being my main focus and academics and education being secondary. And as a result, I ended up flunking out. And I kept this because I always knew it'd mean something. This is my college transcripts, y'all. And this tells a real story about my life, really, because that first year, again, I said, I was just there for football. And I'm telling y'all right now, I know y'all are brilliant kids, y'all very smart. Don't judge me by my classes. I was trying to pick whatever I knew I was gonna get an A on to be eligible. Y'all understand that? So, but I left it up there because I wanted y'all to see everything. That wasn't effort. I'm way better than what those grades say. And here, right here, this is just showing up the bare minimum. Been flunking out, withdrawing. After that W, I needed that to stay eligible and also to keep my Pell Grant financial aid money. But I flunked out. They took my FAFSA away, Pell Grant, all that. So after my first year of college, I had to come back home to my mom's house, back to that same environment. And that's when I really dove head first. Because for a brief second, I felt like, okay, it was over. You tried to fight it, but life has thrown this game at you. This is what you're good at. This is what you know. This is what you got to do. So I dove head first into the streets, making my money, grinding, selling anything I can get my hands on. Because again, at that point in my life, this is my route. I'll bump my TI, my Young Jeezy, my Gucci, feeling like I'm a trapper every day, right? That was my mentality. But things and experiences happened to me during that 6 months that really set me on the trajectory to focusing more and having more vision and thinking about what I could be rather than what's all around me. One of those things that happened was, I remember hustling one night, making some money, and I got on my bike, get ready to go home. I was going back to get some more of the product I was selling and put some money up. And I saw a car following me. You know, that's another thing. Awareness, I don't know what it is. My antenna was just going up, it was ringing. So I'm on a bicycle and I see the car following me. It turns off the landing, right after I turn off the landing. And every time I slow down, it'll slow down. And I wonder what's going on. For a brief second, when I look back, one of the back seat passengers had opened the door too fast. And now when you open the door, the lights in the car came on. So I saw the mask and I saw the guns. As soon as I saw that, I started riding the bike real fast. And they shoot behind me like, adrenaline running. I make it around the house. I'm on a beach cruiser, y'all. Beach cruiser, thick tires. But that adrenaline, I'm going through dirt, fields, everything, like I'm on concrete. So I go around some houses, they go around, they get lost, they come around, they try to chase me, but I meet it. That's one time I was like, man, my life could have been taken, could have lost everything I had. That was one incident. The second one, the same break, I had a run-in with the law. I was fortunate enough to run into an officer that cared more about just his job and tickets and numbers, but cared about you in his future. So he knew me from that story I told you, being out of Pompey, volunteering my time coaching, and he knew that I was one of the kids that made it out because my mom had a reputation. He was one of the officers that had ran to our house before doing the drug bust. He just kind of knew, so he was kind of cheering for me. He was like, man, I thought you went off to college, blah, blah. I did. I flunked out, talking to him, and he gave me a warning. You know what I mean? So that was the second time. I could have been gone. I could have been in prison. Could have been dead. I could have been in prison. And I'm looking back, I started falling into depression because I didn't have control. I didn't know where I was going. But I just got it together. I prayed. I'm a religious person. I prayed. I talked to my mom. I talked to her about anything. And we prayed as a family. I started getting my stuff together. Instead of trying to be that guy that I was listening to in the rap music, I still hustled because I needed money, but I was saving all my money. I bought a car cash, y'all. I was so proud of that. I bought a car cash on a Monday, put it in the shop Tuesday, got it out of the paint shop Friday. Now ride around clean, you know what I mean? Clean, y'all. It was an Oldsmobile 88, Buick Royale. Oldsmobile 88, Royale, blue. And that same car, y'all, I sent some money to Hibbing. I told him, okay, I wrote a letter. I said, I know I don't qualify for financial aid, but if I pay to come back and pay for my dorm, will y'all give me a chance to come back to school, bring my grades up to get financial aid? They agreed. So I sent yeah, man, I just had my stuff together. I know I didn't want to die or go to jail. At this point, I just knew. It sounded cool in the song. It sounded cool in the song, I'm telling you. It still sounds cool in the song. Sometimes I go to meetings bumping trap music, but in real life, that's not what I wanted, you know. And where am I on time? Because I got like 3 more stories, so I just want to make sure. But that's not what I wanted out of myself. So Hibbing accepted, and I tell y'all, I jumped in that car from Delray Beach and I drove to Hibbing, Minnesota. And I came back a changed man. And these grades reflected. Y'all see, that was the first time since elementary school I was on the honor roll. I had A's and B's, anything. I just took it so much more serious. Like, when I came back, my mindset was, be a kid, school, this a breeze. Real life tough. This a breeze. That attitude, that approach kind of like wore off, like on other people who was watching me, them young kids that this is their last chance too. They barely graduated high school. They're looking for a second chance. That feeling again came back, y'all. I was inspiring them, you know, just by how I carried myself and me sharing my lessons. Like, listen, the opposite of this is that, and you don't want none of that. This is sweet, man. We get this Pell Grant money, we get to work, get to play a little football, do what we love, and we working towards a degree. And they ain't gonna never be able to take that away from us. And grades stayed pretty consistent, you know, did all right. And fast forward to this summer, and I'll go back to the slide just to say, this is one of my proudest moments. It says, Jackson signs to be a Bison, North Dakota State Bison, one of the winners program in Division II history and also Division I AA history. But before I could sign to be a Bison, I had teams give up on me because of this transcripts. I did really good at football at Hibbing, y'all. I showed out, I ain't gonna lie to you. All Minnesota, this and that. So I had a lot of coaches coming offering me. But the same thing that blocked me in high school was blocking me here, my grades, my academics. But I had one coach that believed in me. And he said, you know what? That's exactly his words. I believe it. His name is Gus Bradley. He was a head coach at Jacksonville Jaguars. Now he's with the defense coordinator of San Diego Chargers. He said, I believe in you. He said, you have 2 months to get 21 credits to get your AA degree. But we believe you can do it. And now I'm gonna talk a little bit about soft skills, who you know, and relationships too. This was the first time I put my soft skills to the test. I wasn't an amazing student, but I'm a pretty damn good negotiator. Thank y'all for that. I started talking this to my teachers because this is 2003, y'all, 2004. So can't just do online this, online that. I was only maxed out, I only take 9 credits, 3 classes at Hibbing. So that was my limit. I was like, okay, got 12 more to go. So I applied to school back home. And since I wasn't at their school, they only gave me 6 credits, Palm Beach State, right? So, okay, I need 6 more. I went to another JUCO in Minnesota. They didn't do online classes. So I went there before I left Hibbing, and it was Itasca Community College. I talked to them. Here's my situation. I have an opportunity to change my life and go to Division I. But I kept it real, but my past prevented it. I was a bad student first, but I promise you, if you give me a chance, I can make it. We worked out a deal. One teacher was like, okay, send me this email, such and such with a journal or how you chronicle what you're doing, you can pass this journalism class. Another teacher, you can just, same thing. I just want to, if you're going to do this, just document how you do it. So I would write letters and just tell my story. I got up and worked out this day. I had challenges this day and all that. But that passed. Long story short on that, in 2 months, I was able to get 21 credits and earn my AA degree. So not only, thank y'all, not only was that the first time I proved to myself, whatever you put your mind to, you can do. It was my first time really feeling like people who gambled on me, having that responsibility, say, you know what, you're the only one who gave me a chance, I'm going to pay you back. Again, going back to me knowing what makes me tick. You know what I mean? Like, even growing up, I would get in a fight for a friend or a relative before I fight for myself. People can talk about me, make fun. My skin is thick. I can laugh at them, laugh with them. But if I see you hurt someone who I care about, I don't know, something else just triggers in me. I turned into somebody different. That's just me. But I learned that early, you know, my triggers. I'm gonna go on to adjusting to life now after college. Right after college, I played at North Dakota State my junior year. Then my senior year, I transferred to University of Minnesota Duluth. And at University of Minnesota Duluth, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I was there just for football. You can't fight it. It always pulls you back. Like what you think for a long time you were supposed to be, it always pulls you back. And I was like, you know what? I tried, I gave them all. School isn't for me. This ain't what I want to do. And at the same time, I had a little cousin who my mom was raising, and every time we'll come home for visits from college, my sister can attest to this. I would always get a little mad about how he was raised. Again, my mom too lenient. Every time I'm there, he eats snacks, getting chubby. When I left, he was all in every sport, doing backflips, karate. And now he's sitting there playing video games, eating, being disrespectful, being lazy. And I ain't like what I was seeing. So I made up in my mind, even though I was on scholarship at University of Minnesota Duluth, I made up in mind that Christmas break that his future and raising him was more important at that time than mine. So I packed up, I bought a ticket to Delray with no plans of going back. I had a house I shared, a nice house in Minnesota, in Duluth, that I shared with some roommates, stereo system, clothes, trophies, pictures. I left everything. My car that I love, I left everything. I packed up, came with just a couple suitcases, came to Delray with no plans of going back. And I never did. One time I bought a rental car, it was headed back to go get all my stuff. I jumped on the turnpike at Delray and I turned around to Jupiter. I was like, nah, I don't feel like doing these 30 hours right now. And that was the last time I even thought about it. But I will say that was me jumping headfirst into adult responsibilities. Because as soon as I came home December 12th, December 21st, he moved in with me. January 1st, I was at Pine Grove talking to the principal about getting him enrolled in school. And he stayed with me and one of my best friends, Robert Nichols, until the time he graduated high school. One thing I will say, y'all, I never got my bachelor's degree, but my nephew has his. So that's one of the biggest accomplishments. Yeah. Okay. And that took a big team effort because his mom, my mother's sister, she was one of those people I was talking about. She was always in the street. And during this time, most of his middle school and high school years, she was in prison. So the family really had to gel together to fill a lot of those gaps. And that was really led by my mom, myself, and my sister. We always there for TJ and still is to this day. Finding my why. Y'all see that thing in the middle, that's definitely my why. I'll start with this first picture. This is 2012, 11-ish time. And I had some friends that were around me that had started something called Delray Beach Sports, and we were training athletes. And I got involved in that. That feeling came back for the third time, y'all. When I would show up, when I would be engaging with the kids, they just loved when I was there. Felt like I was, planting seeds in them, that I was, inspiring them. And they were giving me so much. And I started creeping away from all those things I thought I wanted, getting back into what I wanted to do and what I know I'm good at. 2010, finding out that my, at the time, girlfriend, now my wife, was pregnant with my daughter. My wife would tell y'all, I had so many dreams, and I'm gonna be honest, I was like, I used to play when my baby was in my wife's stomach. I used to play like classical music, like Haracha, Spanish music. I used to do everything. My wife was like, "You crazy? What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I saw it on YouTube." Like, baby, like you can give them a head start and learn so they can be super smart. My daughter knows multiple languages. She knows Mozart, Beethoven. Damn, I'm not making this up, right? And sit there and play, right? She just say I let her down. She don't know Spanish. She don't know, but that was the vision. But she definitely was my why. She forced me to start thinking about just why I make decisions. And now it's not about me anymore. It's about other people. I'm responsible for an adult. The lady who trusted me enough to conceive this baby with, I'm responsible to her. We invested a lot together. I got to start changing my life. And I didn't have this prepared, but yesterday and Arif is here. And I tell this part of the story a lot. When I say she's my wife, I'm sorry, my daughter, I remember when she was like 1 or 2 years old, 2 years old, we were in our apartment and I had left the room from with her and my wife, and I went into another room. And I remember just crying and just thinking, you know, I'm deep and like that. And I was, what really happened though? So I was sitting there and I was like foreshadowing. I was like, you know what? I was like, if it comes down to like bring your dad to school there, your parent, you know, bring your parent to school, talk about their career and what they're doing, or take your daughter to work, child to work today, like, what are you gonna do? Here you are. At the time I was going through health issues, I wasn't healthy. I meant to tell that story, but it didn't come up, so I'm gonna leave it. But I went through a really bad time with my health. Again, I had left the streets. I didn't want to risk hustling. I didn't like what that brought. So I didn't make a lot of money. A lot of the pressure was on my wife. But my why came, and I used to wonder, like, man, you broke. You got nothing going on. Like, what type of dad are you gonna be? You had all those dreams. She was gonna be this. You're gonna pay for piano lessons. She's gonna know instruments, languages. Bro, you behind. You lost. You can't provide any opportunity, any resources to your daughter. That pissed me off. Like, feeling that low and that kind of really worthless is what motivated me. When people now, when I talk to people, they ask me, where did you find your why? They always talk from a tone like I was up high, or I had just graduated, or I figured it out, had made a lot of money. It was the opposite for me. It was when I was at my flat worst. Flat worst is when I found my why and I knew my direction. And that, again, foreshadow is going to lead to how passion and understanding your why helps navigate you through the challenges and the struggles that come with making a change and making an impact. But that was definitely my why. And yesterday, one of the proudest moments in my life, we got up together. I had my daughter and my niece actually with me, and it was just take your child to work day. But I had somewhere to take her. In every room we walked in, every meeting we attended, people said, hope you're proud. Do you know the type of man your dad is? Do you know the type of change? Are you learning something? Y'all remember that late night, y'all? I was crying because I thought I wasn't gonna be good enough for my daughter to have presented. And yesterday, vision, thanking it, you know, being afraid of it before it was actually there and not letting that fear stop me, but motivating me to do something about it. If you don't want to be that, get your butt up and don't be it. As simple as that. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. And now this is how my family looks, y'all. And this is another picture that makes me so proud. We was at a friend wife's birthday party, actually. But I just so proud. That's my wife, Jazzy, now. That's my baby. That's our daughter, Khalil, my beautiful wife, Janae. And when you have a reason, it's hard to have a bad day. I'm telling you, y'all, it's hard to have a bad day, you know? And I'll tell you, I come home sometimes, I won't romanticize this story. I don't walk home and they be like, oh, daddy, you home. Sometimes they just annoy me. And my wife gotta be like, dang, y'all see y'all daddy? I ain't speak to y'all daddy. They don't appreciate me at all, y'all. I did all this work, all this change, and they don't even acknowledge me when I come home a long day of work. But I bug them, I find them, they don't know. But I tell my daughter all the time, she's my wife. Let's get into the transition, y'all. Finding my why, finding my groove. And my groove was centered around action. Just getting my butt up and doing it. It doesn't matter what you do, move towards what you envision. And I just started staying active. I started doing my thing with Delray Sports, and I found the EJS Project in 2014. And when I found the EJS Project, I didn't have a board, I didn't have funds, but I have a 501c3 status, and I had a business. So I started doing small things, small fundraisers, small trips, whatever I could when I could. But I was consistent. I always had kids with me. I always was there. And that paid off. I got offered a job by a local nonprofit based off just relationships. They created a position for me. I was community liaison and restorative practice specialist for achievement centers for children and families. That was my title. All right. And one of my first ever headshots of professional photos was that right there. And that was really where the transition started. I got that position. And an organization, Palm Health Foundation, started investing in my leadership. And they sent me off to conferences. This was one of my first conferences. The picture is bigger with a few other people that were very instrumental and really leaders of collective impact work. So I wanted to share that. That's when I started transitioning. I started feeling my value, started knowing that my voice mattered, start sitting at tables with people who made decisions and I was heard and I could interject when they start talking about things I feel like they didn't have any expertise on, but I did. I really started using my voice through this process and I really began to transition. To now you're looking at a collage of pictures and it just sums up where life is now for me and for the EJS project and things that I created. I had one slide, it didn't make it, but Eric and I talked about it when we were preparing this. It was a list that I wrote down one of those nights back in 2012, 2013, when I was trying to figure it out. And it had a list of things I wanted to do. I can't remember all of it, but it was like create a business, be a voice for the underserved, underprivileged, leave a legacy to be proud of, do what I love to do. I can't remember. It was things like that, and start a successful business and run it. And you know, I looked at it, I said, when you say that's a check, and Eric was like, yeah, it's a check. It was on all of them, but it's a verse that Drake got. I might mess it up, but it's like I used to dream about this stuff when I was broke. They say the power of the mind, and it ain't no joke. That's a true bar. You got to see it in your head. You got to see it clear as anything first before anyone else can see it. And the type of work I'm in, social entrepreneurship, I have to do this a lot. I have to tell stories. I have to get people to buy into why I'm doing this and why I think it'd be beneficial, and why we can change or move the needle and impact whatever challenge it is. I have to always share this story. So if I'm not convinced, if I don't see it clear, how can other people see it that way, right? So that's a true quote. I love that verse. But this is where we are now. A lot of good things going, from winning awards locally and nationally to impacting children, to always being at community events, being invited out. That's us in DC. Things I dreamed about. On that same paper at the top right, it was, I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote it, but I said, why don't poor people get to go on missions? Is our help not good enough or wanted? Arif can attest to all this. He saw it, y'all. I wanted it up. And I always wondered, like, I've always been this kid. I always wanted to give back. I always felt good about inspiring. Why wasn't I never given opportunities? Why wasn't I never getting, like, taken out my environment to show that you could be more and do more? I had to fight to feel that or experience that. And I don't know if all of our kids, the youth today, have that same grit to have that fight. So I try to step in and help by connecting them to those opportunities, exposing them to things that will open up their mind and hopefully set them on a different direction, show them life is bigger than your street corner, your block. That's part of, my why and why I do this work. All right, so I'm gonna play a little video after this slide, but my work now, like who we are with the EJS Project, our mission is to build and empower tomorrow's leaders. What we offer, free educational programming, mentoring, and safe out-of-school space. I'm not gonna skip over that word free. One of the biggest things I'm proud of with doing this is, when I did dream about one day possibly helping and giving back, I thought I would have either hit the lotto, I would have, went off and made it as a successful traveling businessman. I don't know what I was selling, what business, but that was the vision, right? Or, I had made it to the NFL and made a whole bunch of money and now I can give back. None of those things happened. So I call myself the broke philanthropist. Both holds true, but I do a lot of good work in philanthropy really because of my network. And one of the proudest things I'm doing, all the dollars and money we raised over the last 6-7 years, no student or family that have received services for us had to pay for anything. All these trips we talk about, free. And we don't cut any corners. We feed them every day. We provide emergency support so they don't miss out on opportunities, whether it's football, whether it's college tours. We step in with that gap. And I'm so proud. And I couldn't do that without a network. Because like I said, the bag didn't come first. You know what I'm saying? The inspiration did. So who we serve. We serve underserved youth and families throughout Palm Beach County that deserve access to opportunities and resources. Simple as that. That's who we serve. How our response, how do we do it? So we got a couple of different programming areas. I won't get into the data. I didn't come here to do that, but I want to show y'all. And it's important I showed y'all this and added it because y'all can just tell by how we talk, how we present, how our programs are named. This is for us, by us. This is for our youth, a place for, because even though I believe education is the key factor to overcoming poverty and challenges, there's something that has to take place before education. It has to be a sense of purpose, a sense of value, a sense of love for yourself to make you want to be motivated to do anything. And that's what we try to do throughout our programs, is help our kids gain experiences and practice going through Purpose Page. We help our kids learn about different careers and give them the chance to intern with different jobs and workforce readiness program. Each one teach one. Mentoring, individual, group mentoring, mental health support, group and individual. We pay for those sessions as well. Tutoring, SAT prep, all that help. Project Hub, that's where we're at every day. Kids get to come after school. We pick them up. They travel various ways, school bus, but they have meal every day, AC, Wi-Fi, access to technology, laptops, tablets, and biggest thing, their environment where they're safe, they're welcome, and you can be whoever you want to be with no limits. And we always reinforce that every day. We have check-ins, all our staff. Thank y'all. That motivation it helps. Trust me, and I'm sure y'all know that. But we're intentional about every day asking every one of our students, how was your day? How you feeling? We're intentional about that. About that action. I'm gonna tell y'all that's part of our brand. I was in the meeting the other day and we had to go around a table and just talk about a word and what that word, how it represents you and why it's so important. And when it got around to me, I was like, I would choose, and a couple people like, about that action. It's like, when you have a brand, when people just got to see it, you don't even have to say anything else. And we have really created a brand. It's being about that action because we always showing up. I like to say, if you look at like a car dashboard, when you mash the gas and you're trying to get somewhere really fast and it's go time, that RPM goes up. Like, you know what I mean? Like our RPM is always here. We're always ready. It may not look like it, but we're always ready to go. So we always about that action. And we put in a lot of money through SenseMaker direct aid back into the community. So that's a little bit about our response. I want to play this video because I'm proud of this and it tells another story as far as progression. Arif and I were we didn't name this presentation, but last night it came to me because what kept repeating itself when I talk about this, and the gentleman, stand up real quick. Introduce yourself. What's your name? With Blazer. Had trouble getting coffee this morning. Yes, sir.
Oh, Johan.
Johan.
Stand up.
Stand up. Introduce yourself.
How you doing?
Just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself on the spot.
About myself?
Yeah, really quick.
About myself, okay, so my name is Johan Alegros Betancourt. I am from Nicaragua.
Okay.
I am 22 years old.
Okay.
I have a beautiful girlfriend.
Yes.
I have a beautiful family. I am
All right.
very blessed. I'm about to graduate.
Yeah.
I like to hustle. I want to have a kid.
Yeah.
I build a family.
Yes.
That's my goal. That's my purpose.
All right.
That's my call. God told me. And I like to hustle. I just want to make money. I came here with nothing and I want to make it and I want to give it on to my kids and to my legacy, and to my blood and to my family.
And I feel that. Thank you, man. Hey, you did a great job. And I'm gonna tell you, just sitting here before everyone came in, I just heard a couple words. He said, one day, he said it like he was guessing. One day, maybe if I'm successful, I can come back, you invite me back and I'll do this. The overarching theme that kept repeating itself is a quote I heard about 12 years ago. And it's, success is not a destination. Success is in the journey, not the finish. I got to tell you, my brother, you're already successful. Already. Because you're working toward it, you're here now, and you're confident. Yeah, y'all snap it up. I can already see you coming back and presenting and sharing your story. Once you have your kid and your family, you have made your impact. I already said the vision is clear to me. And you don't have to tell everybody to shout that from the rafter. You move like that. I can tell you right now. I don't know you. I just met you, but you definitely give off that energy. And you're sitting right and behind another kid. Got to talk to. I'm sorry to call you kid, but you're younger than me. I'm old. I can do stuff like that now. This young man right here. Yeah. We talked this morning about him being a motivational speaker and sharing his experiences. You're gonna do it, man. And you got to. This again. The theme is success is in the journey, brother. Believe it every day. You learn a lot from your failures. You know what I mean? Track them just as much as you track your wins, because you don't want to repeat them. And that's what people need to hear when you talk to people. That's why when I talk, I share all the bad parts, all the challenges. It sounds bad, but it didn't feel bad. But I share everything because when I'm in a room, I want to connect to the people that are inspired by the things that we overcame. That's the thing. Like, you have people here can always talk about how much money they made, what's on their resume. I promise you guys, I don't even remember most of the acknowledgements or awards I had. No disrespect to any of them, but that's not what I'm in this or doing this for, you know? Be intentional when you're speaking. You be intentional about every day. Already know, drop that word if, but, maybe out. You're going to be successful. You are successful right now. And wherever your journey ends, you're going to look back and say, damn, man, I left a real legacy. All right? So y'all give both of them a round of applause. I just want to say that. All right. I'm gonna give y'all a little break from me talking, but I really want to play this video. This was at our inaugural gala. You want to play it? This is our inaugural gala. So I'll talk about it a little bit after it plays. Thank you, Dan. I'm a little kid from Delray that didn't believe in limits, and I always tried to do the best I can whenever I can. And I contribute a lot of that to my father, to my mother, and really just my network as a whole. I had some bad examples, but I had enough great examples. So that's why we're here. And a lot of y'all great examples are in the room. There's so much leading up into this event that I wanted to say, that I wanted to share, because there's people in this room I've been knowing my whole life. There's people in this room I met through this work. And there's people in this room that I haven't quite met yet. They were invited by someone who I met through this work. I appreciate you all. I'm like that, y'all. I dream big. I'm unrealistic a lot of times, irrational, whatever you call it. But we're here. And we've been providing services at a high level for 8 years. Thank you, brother.
I could go on and on about how this program has benefited, but there's one particular reason for why I am the person that I am today. It's because Mr. Dupree has some of these 4 simple yet powerful words. It's not your fault. The sentence may seem so simple, but when you have been bullied for a long time, these words resonate with you, just as it did to me.
I can speak for everyone when I say the Free and the EJS Project is a crucial subject in our community. Blood work, providing teams with a safe space, place for academic support, personal support, providing skills and role models for work and civic engagement in the community that you grew up in. It's truly inspiring. It's almost entirely what inspired me. I hope for all of you tonight that tonight kindles some of the passions that I've described to you and inspiration and moves you.
EJS was more than just another aftercare tutoring center or summer camp. Getting around well-grounded, friendly men like Mr. Dupree and Mr. Marcus with a vision really caught my attention. For the longest time, I've always yearned to find a place where individuals are constantly striving to make an impact, even if on a small scale at first.
Oh, that gives me chills watching that every time. That's nice. That's what you call progression right there, y'all. A long way from selling ribs and baked beans and macaroni and cheese as a fundraiser. What y'all say? Right. It took a lot of work, a lot of vision to even get to that point. And it took a lot of people coming together to believe in that vision to get to that point. And working hard to, you know, for that night to be so special. I'm glad I did so much talking and telling my story, because some of the gems are, you know, skills are, you know, things I just wanted to leave with y'all were embedded in a lot of those stories. And it was really like I started this with, to really spark interest and ideas, because I expect a lot of follow-up conversations. I hope that's one of the things that I wanted to take from this. I wanted to engage from y'all. I wanted to learn from y'all. I wanted to answer y'all questions, whether via email or scheduling a Zoom. But I did want to leave y'all with a few things that have helped navigate my journey. And we're going to keep repeating, but we'll start with finding your why. That's always a start. Have y'all been through a number of different impact series? How many people have brought this up during the impact series? More than 2, 3, 4, right? Because it's common. When y'all, well, on y'all journey, a lot of y'all probably already know, that's why you're here. Your why, you have to find that first. You have to find that motivated factor that's going to push you. Because I tell y'all, as you grow a nonprofit or go from point A to B to Z of your journey to success, it's not a straight path. You're gonna have, you know, you're gonna have high points, and you're definitely gonna have some lows. And during those low moments, you got to revert back to that why, and also to that vision, that clear vision you had. And you got to believe that, you know, whether it's, for me, it's having a nice building space, being able to have a complete staff, to provide resources, a nice good budget, to be self-sustaining. All those things are part of my long-term vision. And I'm not there yet, but we're working towards and getting closer to all those things. But what helped me when I struggle, which I do a lot, as far as showing up and being overwhelmed and having so many deadlines, outcomes, or people pulling from you, can you help with this project? Can you lend your voice here? Can you sit on this board? Can you speak here? Can you train here? Can I pick your brain? Can you come by? Like, it's a lot, but I go back to this comes with what I was asking for, with being someone who aspires, being someone who means something to their community, means someone who starts and runs a successful business. You can't keep holding this information, these skills, these challenges, these experiences hostage. So I try to show up as much as I can when I can. But those days where you just feel like, is it worth it? Can I do it? You know, you want to give up. That's never an option, because you revert back to your why, your passion, your vision. And, you know, so that's one of the things I wanted to take that, leave with y'all. Definitely write that down, because a lot of the things that I wrote down when I was envisioning what I wanted life to be, one thing I know that wasn't there was material things. I never said I wanted a certain size house. I never said I wanted a certain style of car. I never said I wanted to make a certain amount of money. And I realized when I was at my worst, financial and material things had nothing to do with who I wanted to be. I showed y'all my list. It was all about, the root of it was, how am I impacting the people around me? How am I leaving a legacy? How am I making their lives better? Now, if I tell y'all, I love to travel, I love to eat, and you know what I mean? I just love the freedom, you know, to do things. So that comes with having a little financial freedom. So I do aspire to have those things, but money, chasing the bag, was never my motivation, and it's not. It may sound cliche, but I hope y'all trust me enough now to know how real I am. I promise you that if you chase your passion before the bag, that the bag will follow you. Y'all believe that? Trust me. I'm telling you that will come. Chase your passion. All right. And the power of relationships. I kept bringing that in the theme, and I can go. I have a lot of stories about that, but one I want to tell, because the name kept coming up, and I talked about peer pressure when I was in high school. That being the first time that kind of made me want to, at first, just earn a Division I scholarship and go on a visit and do all those things, was led to more education. But it's also certain people that I kept around that wouldn't let me fail or saw greater in me before I did. And two of those people, one in the room, one's not here. I want to share two stories about these, and the power of relationships and having people that care more about you than you do. One of my friends, Robert Nichols, I grazed over it, but when I had that apartment when I came back from college, That was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was me and him. That was my little cousin who I was worried about. But that was my boy. We took him in. So, you know, we could have had a sitcom about this. It was we were 21 at the time trying to figure life out. We raised the 5th grader, you know, so, but he was there. He took that on that responsibility just like it was mine. And actually it was a few years, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th grade. TJ didn't even live with me because I was living in Boynton. TJ lived with Robert. So like he took that on for like me. But going back to college, when I was down here that summer trying to attain those 21 credit hours, ended up being 22. Robert, I don't have a picture of him. That's Marcus. I'm gonna tell you about him too. But Robert was that guy. He did everything right. His grades was on point. But he would wake up at 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock to make sure he picked me up by 6:30 to make sure I was at my class at Palm Beach State by 7. He would go do what he got to do, come back by 3 p.m. that day, because I would just be on Palm Beach State College all day. I only had 2 classes, but the rest of the time I used their Wi-Fi and computer lab to do classes in Itasca and Hibbing. But he would come back at 3, drive me all the way out to Royal Palm Beach where another class was, right? And then when I come home, ready to go home and eat, he would be that motivation factor. It ain't over yet. You got to be in shape because you're going to get this AA degree, and you're going to be in shape, and you're going to kill it on the field. We would go jump the fence at Atlanta High School, and we would do sprints, 110 dashes, everything. Like, first of all, the dude's crazy, disciplined. But for him to have me doing that, I kind of hated him. I used to call other people, hey, can you come get me from Royal Palm? I'm gonna tell you, Rob, he don't gotta come today. Like that type of friend I had, but I can't thank him enough. Fast forward to when I was making that transition, that same friend, Robert Nichols, never give up on me. He and another one of my friends, Donald Hanna, he was defense coordinator. Donald was the head coach at Village Academy. They knew what I was going on health-wise and trying to transition, the struggles. We're friends. They knew a lot of my personal challenges. They said, hey, you know what, to do you good, man? Come out and volunteer with us. We need the help on our coaching staff. And that feeling creeped up again. When I was there, when I was coaching those kids, they loved when I was there. They practiced harder when I was there. They couldn't wait to share their wins, successes with me. I had Coach Dupree. I made all those things. They gave me an opportunity. I wasn't paid, but they gave me the opportunity to experience that. And it's just, it reminds me the power of just having a circle, having good people that believe in you. And I want to share that with you too. Spend more time with the people that celebrate, clap loud when you're winning, that show up for you, that find it not robbery to put things that are important to you on their schedule. Stick around those people. Give them people a lot of your love and your energy. Don't let the distractions, the people, the doubters, the people who whisper your successes but applaud your failures. Don't give them your energy. Don't even be mad. I'm telling you these lessons because it's going to help take a lot of pressure off you when you're going through life. Yeah. So my sister, a story about her. And I'm gonna say this. It's gonna sound kind of foul, but me and her had a long talk. I finally have admitted to her about 3-4 years ago how this really went down. But at North Dakota State, after that football season, I left the football team. I don't want to get into the reasons why, because that's a whole nother story. Nothing like really bad, it was mostly me. But that next semester, I was still at Fargo, North Dakota, but I didn't have my full ride scholarship anymore. So I was out here trying to wing it, Pell Grant, trying to get my money up. And I went to the center, admission center, to try to get my financial aid. I got bad news. I couldn't get the loan, whatever. So I went back, jumped on the phone with my sister. I was like, sis, I tried, but I'm coming home. And she was like, no, you work too hard, you're not doing it. If you come here, I kind of know what's going to welcome you, what you're going to be doing. We're not letting you come back. You got to finish, just stay. What do you need? I was like, well, first of all, I need somewhere to stay. I can't even, find an apartment, and I can't stay at the dorms anymore because that was for athletes, full ride, blah, blah. And she was like, okay, well, look, just look. I was like, how am I gonna look? I don't got no money. She said, I didn't ask you that. I said, go look, see, can you find something? I did find something. If I can recall, it's like, I actually slept in the living room of a 1-bedroom apartment of one of my friends for 4 months. And he charged me like $300. His rent was $600. We just went half. He charged me $300, but my sister committed to every month she'll send me $500, $300 for the rent, and $200 just for food and just take care of myself and gas for the car. But she said, I'll do that. Just don't leave. Stay there and finish what you started. What she didn't know was, like 2 days later, the financial aid people called me back and told me I had qualified So I had got a nice big check. I paid all my rent up, and every month I would get another nice pay, $500. I know it sounds bad, but listen, I was fun too. We like to go to parties and everything. I had a budget. I put music in the car, but hey, I was making her proud, and I had extra money in my pocket. But I did confess a couple years ago. That was a true story. But yeah, look, they talking like that's messed up, y'all. I told you I would tell you, don't judge me, y'all. All right, first of all, how many people here think I wasn't wrong or could see themselves doing the same thing? Right? There you go, Al. I got two. Everybody else like you dead wrong. But yeah, that was the truth. And thank you, sis, for because that was important because I kept working. I started going back my grades, working out, and I got a third chance. University of Minnesota Duluth offered me a scholarship. So I packed up that same car, bought cash, filled it up, went from Fargo to Duluth, Minnesota. And that's why I ended up. So power relationships, having people in your corner and knowing, identifying, knowing who they are. This one was one I thought about when James told me about the crowd. Some of you are going to be approaching this work or making an impact from more of a kind of, I say, academic, research-based, guiding, looking at data to kind of figure out outcomes or predict things. Some of you are going to take that route. Some of you are going to be like me, like social entrepreneurs. You're going to find your own way and think, we can do it better. We have the answer. Or some of you might go straight into enterprise or a job and help, hold a high management level or do whatever it is that you're going to do. And I'm telling you from experience, when you're making a great change or you're trying to make impact, politics is going to creep its way in. It's going to creep its way in. You just can't get around it. I was trying to deny it for the longest. Well, I still get it a lot. When I walk up, hey, when you going to run for this or when you going to do that? You need to be committed. You need to be that ain't for me. I like making an impact and worrying about and putting energy towards things that I feel like affect me and my loved ones. And sometimes politics or worrying about what affects everyone could get in the way of that. And I realize that. And right now I'm on a mission. I got business I need to tend to, and that's my focus. But navigating politics, just a couple secrets, a couple gems. And it reverts back to knowing your why and knowing who you are, having your value, right? Doesn't matter the position, the title, when elected officials, especially locally in Delray, when they are either running for re-election or they're thinking about running for politics, I'm one of the people we usually meet. I'm a community leader, we talk, and I ask certain questions. What's your vision? How do you think you're going to impact or make this city better? What mark are you trying to leave? And then I tweak a little bit of my vision and what we need and how they can help with that. But that's just part of, navigating. But I never let anyone feel like just because we have a relationship or I can talk to them, they can talk to me, that is going to sway how I feel or how I respond to things when I disagree. That's important too. Like they call it being Switzerland. I try to be that as much as possible. I can, because that's who I am. I can respect, tolerate, and get along with anyone because I know I'm a weird person. And a lot of times I just want to be respected and appreciated. So I give everybody that same courtesy, as simple as that. But I don't choose sides and I don't talk publicly about strong stances. So take that advice. I'm not one of the people say, never talk about race, politics, gender, religion. Those things are urgent. You should talk about them. You should. But you should show discretion on when and where you talk about them. I would just add that piece. But the trick to navigating politics in your leadership role on your journey, guys, is just to be who you are, stick to your morals and know where you're headed and treat everyone the same. So, I'll leave that with that. Oh, and this is obviously, I should throughout my storytelling in the past, a lot of things, it came down to the little things of how I was able to get through some of those challenges. I talk about knowing my skill set, knowing who I am, and knowing I can talk and tell my story. I learned that just by having a lot of times convince people that I needed more help. One thing I didn't mention earlier was I was a student who was on an IEP for middle school and high school, but I always denied it. I was embarrassed. I would have some classes in the portable. I wait everybody to the bell. I was always late to the portable class. I wait everybody to go to class, then I sneak out to the portable. Cause I was really ashamed to be like, back then they call it IEP and all that. Back then they call it SLD. Then the mean kids turned into a slow learning dummy. I was mad and furious when I was called a slow learning dummy. And I was always trying to, hide from being that. But a point came where, I don't know if kids remember, but my 11th grade year, we had a parent teacher conference and they just flat out told me, you're not gonna be able to graduate and finish anything if you don't pass English. And English 3 as a senior. And I just knew about hearing about English 3. Their books was about this thick. I'm dyslexic and I was terrified. So I said, you know what kind of help can y'all give me? Oh, your IEP, you're identified dyslexic, all these other labels, you can get extra test time. You can have someone come read for you and help. I was like, oh yeah, now there's other stuff quickly. I'm not ashamed no more to be, I get all those benefits. This is me, using what I got. And I remember y'all, again, don't judge me. This is life, I learned. I remember just taking advantage of those extra resources. And I remember one time, like, okay, so you're gonna read the questions to me in the answer options? Like, all right, let's see how this goes. The very first test, we reading it. And she was like, okay, do you understand the question? I was like, yeah, I pretty much got it. And she read the possible answers. And she's like, so what do you think it is? I was like, what do you think it is? Oh, and like, I think it's maybe this one or this one. Oh, you close. Needless to say, I start acing all my tests. You do what you can with what you got. And so I learned about that. Again, little things. And then early on in life, like the things that like I used to kind of get backhand about. If ever I talk to an adult in front of my dad, and don't address them as yes sir, no sir, my dad didn't play it. If I didn't get popped in the mouth deal and I got home, I got some type of discipline. So even when I was with my mom and in the environment I am, that was the kid. He's so respectful, he's so mannerable, because I was scared of my dad. So little things, being respectful, being mannerable, and then in the work environment, consistency, always being there. When you show up to volunteer like this is your event, like this is your program, this is your business. Give it all you got. You know what I mean? People can see the energy. If you come show up and like, man, I don't even know why I put this on my schedule. I don't even know why I'm just volunteering. Or, don't show up like that. And anything you do, show up and give your best, give your energy. Show up a couple minutes early and leave a few minutes late. When you're walking out, ask, hey, you need help putting up those chairs, those tables? That's still a staple of who EJS is. We do that a lot. We get called. All those things go a long way. Because again, a lot of rooms that you're going to go in, it's not about how much education you have, how far you went. It's about who you know, who made a phone call, who name you put on the resume. All right. And people don't always remember things you tell them, things you say, but they always remember how you make them feel. And it's the little things that impact our influence feeling. All right. So, so that's another little bit of game. All right. So I talked about collective impact. That's really one of the 3 founding pillars at the center of what I do. I had to find my approach to this community change work. And for me, it's collective impact. And I'm gonna get to the definition of that. Another one for me is restorative practices, restorative justice. Believing that everyone has a voice, all of our voices are valued, and making sure we make time out to hear those voices. Another analogy y'all ever heard a chain is only as strong as its weakest link? Y'all heard that before? Yeah. It's kind of the same thing. Like you can't talk about improving communities, making change, or improving this world for the better if you don't include the people who are broken the most. And that's where I find myself. And I can relate to that. And I find power in being from those circumstances, from having that lived experience. That's what makes me different when I enter those rooms, because I have those lived experience from what you're trying to change and what you're talking about. So collective impact, restorative practices, and also learning about racial equity and inclusion. I'm big on that, y'all. Because everything that I start learning about that was barriers or that played a part in why I lived in certain communities or why I had limited access or why I couldn't do those missions or why I couldn't take those trips, it was rooted in racial inequality. If we talk about education disparities, if we talk about health disparities, if we talk about financial disparities, when you go down, start doing all the research, doing all the reading, it's gonna be rooted in how this country was set up. And a lot of it was to limit access for one people because of the color of their skin, and to create more opportunity for another people because of the color of their skin. No way you slice it, that's the history of this country. And so when you're in this work, I don't want you to beat your head up trying to figure out why. Go to the root a lot of times, all right? At least I do. But collective impact. Every community has residents with the potential to exercise leadership, build civic muscle, tackle local problems, but cultivating grassroots leadership is easier said than done. And community-led solutions don't just happen. How we show up together, funders, residents, local government, health professionals, etc., and how we organize for community-led solutions are the keys to cultivating community leadership. I'm a prime example. The story I told you about foundations, how they invested in me, people, how they believed in me, how they gave a chance, family members, residents, funders who helped make events like the gala you saw possible, funders who write grants and give checks to make this broke philanthropists be effective and be able to provide free resources. All this is an example of collective impact. We cannot do this and make the change needed to change this world as an individual or solo. We just can't. And those are a couple examples when I talk about the journey of collective impact. This is what I share with audiences. I want to get into it with you guys, every bullet, but if you'd like for me to share this slide with you, I absolutely will. But it centers around mobilizing people. And when mobilizing people, you can't leave out the most vulnerable population. Actually, they should be front and center. And if you are really that smart and have those many resources, you should be able to lead from behind and help direct the people who need it the most. That's how I feel. That's my approach. All right. So I really want to get into question and answer right now, but I think I'm going to wait.
Let's do the break and then.
Okay, I can keep going. Y'all want to get a break? We'll get a break. All right, so Mr. James said we're going to stop for a break, 5-minute break.
11:22. I think that.
All right, y'all. We're about to get started with the second part of this. Then we got a couple people walking in. So we'll get started, y'all. The second part of this, we talk a lot about connections, relationship, finding your why, and all that. I mentioned very briefly restorative practices, but what that centers around is what I believe in. Like, all of us have value, all of us bring something to the table. And the key to finding out what we bring to the table and what each other's individual value is listening, right? So when I was trying to figure out an activity, again, I think that when I started, I'm continuing thinking. James thought about something that kind of would fit, because I ran through my bullets and what I wanted to do with James. And he kind of suggested this, and he was like, you know what, maybe you can talk to Short Short. I was like, I got a relationship with Short Short. I know Short Short. I call Short Short. She volunteers at EJS, so she's around often, actually. Again, y'all, we're about to get into this exercise, but this whole presentation should be an example of what I'm preaching about, how you can't do anything of significance or great as an individual. It takes a team. I'm not great at slides, but I think we had a pretty good slide presentation today, at least to help me with, because Errol is pretty good at slides, right? I'm not good at really like doing lectures. I don't do this, but Mr. James is pretty good, so he gave me pointers. And I didn't know this activity, the rules of how it went, but Short had experience doing it, so it came together. And she came, made time yesterday to stop by the office and help prep me. It didn't work because obviously I said I'm not confident enough to do it. So let's show them our teamwork, example of teamwork. So that's what we're gonna do. So y'all give a round of applause for Short right now. I'll let y'all take over to explain our activity. So they're gonna explain our activity. And all of us are participating, Kizzy, Bob, all of us, everybody here is gonna be participating.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So we're going to get into groups of 3.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna get into groups of 3, which are preset, so we'll show up on the screen. Not everybody is here, so right, move around, but go to the groups that you were assigned. So what's gonna happen is everybody's gonna get 3 color pencils. The colors don't matter, it's about the number of pencils. The exercise, the goal of this exercise is to learn to listen and to also learn to pick your, like, sell your purpose, like your why, your mission. It doesn't have to be like a sell. You don't have to buy them on. But the goal or how it works is for everything that you are hearing for the first time, that you are understanding for the first time. Like this is an outlook you've never heard before. Like we've heard each other's mission areas pretty much before, but it's usually faced like surface level, and we haven't heard like deeper connections to why. Like you might know somebody's mission area, but you've never known why it means so much to them. If you hear anything at all that you are understanding deeply for the very first time, or like you take a color pencil from the person, that's a point. Like anything you take away from what somebody says, you take a pen, like a point, a pencil from them, right? Now the goal here is it's supposed to be a fair exchange. So you can't go in only expecting to take. That's lazy. You also kind of have to say and dig deep and also let the person understand new things or hear new things or like a different perspective on why what you do means so much to you. Because I think we've also gotten into the habit of telling our mission areas so much, like it's like we've rehearsed the story, right? Which is not a bad thing, but this time put the rehearsed story aside and talk about it like you're talking to somebody that you're not trying to close a deal with. This is not a networking person. You don't want the number after. So you take a pencil when you get a new thing, right? You take a pencil. Now the thing too is you also have the right to say, I don't, if you think the person is BSing, you have the right to keep your pencil and say, no, I'm not giving that to you. But we're all grown and it hardly happens, that hardly happens. Any questions? Does that make sense? Oh, wow, I'm gonna explain that.
All right, so we don't have the preset groups. So what we're gonna do is the 1, 2, 3 thing, but it's not like 1, 2, 3, one's on this side. It's not that. It's like 1, 2, 3. Y'all are one group. You feel me?
Okay.
Y'all make sense? Okay, cool. So we're gonna do no. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. So like y'all one group, y'all one group. You feel me? Okay. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I guess 1, 2, 3. We're handing out the pencil. I don't know. I don't know. What is
Even if you just
Can they start?
yeah. Hey, look at now.
It's the prompt right here, y'all. If y'all forget.
All right, guys, you can wrap up the next second.
Just like. Yeah.
You gotta say it again. Told people right here. You gotta say it again. Short is giving y'all like 10 seconds. I'm letting y'all know. Y'all got like 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Somebody let me know. Okay, y'all heard it. They ain't about to blow the whistle over there. They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop. We're gonna blow the whistle on those. Y'all ready to get back to it? We want to hear from y'all. I want to hear some reflections. All right, we're gonna jump into some reflections. We'll get into that. Good to hear see the conversation though. I mean, the exercise was effective. Y'all are talking, y'all are sharing. That's awesome. So we, like Short said, we want to get into some group reflections. Do we have Short, you want to talk to the group?
Any reflection?
Got one back here.
Wait, who is that? Yes, y'all?
We can share.
What?
I've been on the share.
Okay.
It was a beautiful talk. It was a beautiful talk. We went to something that came up in our conversation a lot is family. Like a very strong reason why you do things. A great motivator of your life is family. Either the future of looking for family or the past that you look for family, or space that you need to build the family living that you want to build it in the future for someone else. So that's something we're talking about. It's good to get to know each other.
Isaiah?
Yeah, I think there was a common thing in our conversations where, you know, our own personal experiences and experiences of others around us and how like our personal experiences and those other experiences influence us to do the things that we want to do, and to make the changes that we want to make in our community. So, they were very open and I ended with colors that I didn't have. So I think, you know, it was an effective.
Good.
Yes, Maria.
We talked a lot about how we found our why and how we mix that with passion and bringing in your actual reason for doing what you want to do and really building on that to find what we're actually doing here, what the point, and we talked about what the point of Watson is and how we got into this program and why we chose this program.
Yes, Hanafe, and then I think we'll do questions.
I think I bought it with my wow. I think the number one thing that we all, well, I didn't really share much about myself, you know, but then I think there were a lot that they wanted to say, and when we started to ask them why, we got a little bit deeper. So I want to do this. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. And the time we got to like the third why, you know, what was the actual reason why that was significant. Because of our all work, like when we do get once, it's very easy to talk about more surface level of things and say, this is my mission areas. But I don't know why. So the question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Put them down when you go out.
Yeah, and we're gonna jump into some Q&A, but I wanna respond. What's your name? Young man who just what's your name?
Oh,
Where you from? South Africa. Nice to meet you. I wanna share something with y'all. It's an exercise that I do with groups called the Power of Why. You know. And now that I'm saying it now, James, I probably did have an exercise, but it's 3 people. And what it is, because what you said is it's 3 people. You sit, you kind of like knee to knee. So as person to be sitting here, person be sitting there, and a person be sitting there. And it's you have 90 seconds, a minute and 30 seconds, and this person job is to answer whatever question is. That person's job is to ask why. First, why, then is the only response they can give after they say the first why is, tell me more, tell me more. And the other person's job is just to listen. So everybody for a minute and 30 seconds is practicing and focus on this. when we do that, we would think that the person who has to explain more and say why has the hardest job. But when doing the exercise, you realize the person who just has to listen has the hardest job. The person who has the easy job, obviously, is tell me more. When you do it, you can't wait to say, tell me more, because you know the pressure is adding up. It's hard to keep explaining. But that person who's sitting there listening, you know how hard it is to, when you're in the conversation, and think you're doing a good job by jumping in and say, you know, I share that same experience, or the same happened to me, or like finish somebody's sentence before because you can connect. Sometimes that's unhealthy listening, and that exercise helps teach that. So that power of why is, man, it gets heavy when you have to keep going into detail, but you can take a lot from it. So I just wanted to share that as well. All right, so we're gonna jump on to what I was looking forward to, not to thank you, with Q&A. That's what we'll do, so Q&A. So do y'all have questions for me, things I can elaborate on, if I can share? You go first. Yeah. Now, when you do it, introduce yourself, please. Tell me your name, where you're from, and your major. Oh, yeah, that's right. So your name and where you're from.
My name is Ola, I go by Lulu. I'm originally from the Middle East, typically Egypt.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Lulu.
My question is, you mentioned that you guys do mentoring. So when you guys are looking, like, when someone's looking for a mentor, what do you be looking for in a mentor?
Okay, it varies, but it's certain qualities that have to be consistent. It's like, first of all, consistency, knowing that you're gonna commit to being a part of whatever we find for you to do over a long period of time to build rapport. But before that, I'm always looking for people that, repetitive, will inspire our kids. So our kids can look at them and be motivated and kind of pick their brain and get ideas of, it doesn't matter the career profession. If you are the head of our water plant at the city of Delray, if you drive the garbage truck for waste management, but have a great career, take care of your family, put your kids through school. We want to learn about all these people who come back and give their time and just try to give our kids examples of different ways to kind of navigate this thing called life. That's all it is. But just having a support system for our kids and showing up and being someone we can call on, that's usually what we look for. That's the root. But finding where you fit, it might be helping with tutoring, it might be just helping for events, it might be wanting to sit on the board. You never know, it's different for everyone, but consistency, I think, is the number one key that we always look for when it comes to volunteering, mentoring. You're welcome, Lulu.
How can we volunteer with you?
First of all, can you tell me your name and where you're from? That's okay.
My name is Eva. I am from Delray Beach, Florida. And yeah, my name is Eva.
Thank you, Eva, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Eva. So how you can volunteer with EJS Project? Well, y'all got connections to the man, Mr. Eric Khan. He usually, right now, we're a small team, as you can imagine. So we all wear a lot of hats, but communication, whether it's a parent or a school principal or volunteers reaching out to know how they can be a part, enroll, partner with our organization, Eric usually handles that communication and sets up. He's a good person to talk to because he also knows where we need the most help and most support. But really, I would recommend for anyone, if I was talking to the audience, it's a reason we work hard to have a location in the heart of our city and we have consistent hours. Show up. That's my biggest indicator. I know people are serious. People can call us, send emails all day, but we're not moving. Our office hours posted. Show up if you really want to be here, and we'll figure out the rest from there. So just show up. Anybody else? Some questions? Okay.
Hi, my name is Navia. I'm from Northport, Florida. My question is, what are you guys like looking for volunteer-wise, and in what areas do you want volunteers?
All right. So right now, the areas of programming, and we look for people that have obviously leadership, organization skills that can help. Because again, we are a small team, but we don't like for our quality of programmers to go down because we can't do everything that we want as a high level. So we look for people to show up, and we kind of get to know them as they get to know us, and we figure out kind of what their niche, how's it going to help. An example is one of our former board members, Ms. Taisha Dyer. She came and her connection was really tutoring, like helping kids pass their grades because she had experience of being successful in that. And now that's one of our biggest, most effective programs, our tutoring program. because she came, lent her passions, gave us kind of a blueprint how to start a tutoring program, reaching out, and she gave it legs, and we took it and ran with it. So now it's a good program. So really, just as much as you come in to try to give back and help us, we're looking for what do you like to do naturally, and we'll put you in that area. Again, some people like just help us planning events and reaching out to people and inviting the people because that's their network, their event planners, their social. Other people like to help us gather the data and create spreadsheets so we can give it to our funders or in reports. So whatever you bring, we'll find a way to use it for the most part. I'll go you, then you.
My name is Michael Bailey. I'm from Maryland, and outside DC. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I know starting your own corporation might be hard, and you have a lot to deal with, a lot of thoughts. What ways do you find help you organize your thoughts or organize your ideas?
The big one, and people call me crazy for it, definitely my wife, is talking to myself. That's the biggest one, and answering myself. Like all the time I'm doing that because I'm trying to process how to come off to other people. And if it comes up, if I'm thinking it might come up, so I practice my response. And I try to stick with the one I'm like, oh yeah, that feel. So that's one of the ways, like really talking to myself and processing things. Another one is writing it down. I can't tell you how much clearer it makes it when you write it down, you come back to it. And like when you come back to it, every time it'll look a little different. So writing it down every day when I come in my office, I have a to-do list. My staff, Ara, our assistant. I don't say they don't like it, but it's not that beneficial when only I know what I want to do, I have to do. They be like, hey, sometimes I go to my desk and take pictures of my to-do list because I'm not, typing it is one thing, but writing it down helps me kind of remember or it sticks. So I can give you those two examples. Yeah, no problem at all.
Thanks for coming here and sharing your experience. Nadia from Russia. The question is, how do you form relationships with those kids, knowing that they're not directly your family, but still forming a family-like relationship, and then you hold responsibility for them, but you're a father figure,
Right.
I guess, but you're not a father figure.
Right.
How does that work?
The simple answer to that, Nadia, is I try to give what I always yearn for. That's the simple answer. Whether it's in the household, any type of relationship, I try to give support. I try to give understanding. I try not to be judgmental. And I find that having those qualities that approach to things help me do my job more effectively. An example of that, and it's a great question because I'll hopefully I get to talk on it. Like I'm getting older. I realize that now I'm close to 40. When I started this work, I was like 29, 30. So I used to always be like that young cat, in every room. I'm not as young anymore, but I'm still young enough to connect with our kids. Like, although I'm professional, like I say, I still listen to Lil Baby on the way to work. That's one of my favorite artists. I'm still like, we listen to the same music. They put me on new music now. I feel myself getting old. I'll be like, man, y'all tripping, but I'm close enough, so like I can tolerate them when they're in their space, because I create this space for them. Listen to their type of music. I have certain rules. I'll be like, okay, you can play Young Boy, but just make it clean because you never know who will walk into our office. But it's so important for them to be exactly who they are, and that's when that's when the magic happens. Because I get to evaluate. So when their real trouble comes, when they have a conflict, they got in a fight, they got heartbreak, I know who they really are. I know like kind of what their favorite songs would be. I know what'll probably make them laugh right now because we always do it. It's like you have to create a space where they can be who they are. That's the start of a relationship. And that's any human nature. We're gonna flock to that space. I know it works. I know I'm telling you the truth because through all this, pictures, you're probably thinking we got a huge building, mixed use and all that. We have 790 square feet. When I tell you we have kids coming from all over the county every day to try to be in that 790 square feet. So it's something to feeling valued, feeling heard, feeling supported. All those are the key.
Hi, my name is James.
Nice to
I'm
meet
from
you, James.
Nigeria. My question for you is this: you've come a very long way from a young man, getting in trouble, to being a community leader. And my question is, you're talking to a young person who's trying to change their life, trying to make their mark in the world. what's the most important quality to unlearn?
To unlearn?
Yep.
Oh, that's a great question. The most important quality to unlearn. So many. Where would you start? The most important. Good question, James. I don't want to just throw anything out there. It's a lot of things are running through my head, but I think it will go. Well, first I try to teach value, right? Because I think that's what you got to have. But for me, okay, so I answered for me because I was trying to answer in general. For me, I had to unlearn that a lot of the things that how I envisioned myself, being a professional, being a leader, being someone who impacts the community, being someone who inspires someone, that doesn't look like a certain socioeconomic background. You don't have to be a master's degree, a PhD. You don't have to come from a rich family or have made a lot of money. You can just be you. You are good enough as individuals. Like we all have our journey. And if you play your cards right, no matter what was dealt, you can make an impact and leave a legacy. So the hardest thing was me overcoming that. Just because you're from here, born here, your mom and dad was this and that background, that's not where you have to end. So unlearning that like we're all good enough. We all can be what we want. Just got to work towards it. I think that's once you get out of your own way and realize you have unlimited potential and you recognize your value, you can stand up against anything. I used to post this picture, and I'll add to that. It's this picture. It's so funny. I wish I had it on the slide. So it would have come to my mind. I wish I had it. But you will see it. It's this, they're on stage. It was a competition for like a bodybuilding contest. And you see the physiques, you know, people standing up there, they all oiled up and shined up. And this one little really, really skinny, puny kid, he doesn't have a tan or anything. And he's just standing like that right with him. But his smile, his confidence is the biggest. And I always connect with him. I'm like, I'm that kid. Like, no matter what environment, you know, they may look better, but my confidence is, you know, so having value in yourself and believing that you have what it takes. Like, don't set limits on yourself. So I'll be the biggest thing. Don't unblock your mind first. And, you know, the rest is endless possibility. Go ahead. Thank you though, James. That was tough.
My question is understanding that maybe for everyone here, understanding that our overnight success is actually maybe over 5 years before it becomes that overnight success. What would you say is the most important part of understanding that your overnight success might take up to 5 years or less or more? What would you say to the individual who is so hungry to start feeding everyone at the table, but wants to get there faster?
Right. That I would say to them first that trying to get there faster, you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself on the lessons, the challenges, the experience, the highs, the lows that are going to make you valuable or worthwhile or worthy once you're there. Again, it goes back to what we said, success is in the journey. If your journey, your end goal is to feed 100,000 people every day for the next 5 years, just try to feed one. And at the spend in that 5 years, y'all do the math, 365 times 5. I'm not that good, but at least you'll be that much closer. And now you're at least in the thousands by the time you get to year 5. You get what I'm saying? One step at a time. Believe in the journey, know where you're headed and work towards it every day. Of course, it's not going to be just one meal every day. Eventually it'll go to 2, then 3, then in 5 years, you're going to be at a point where you have one event, you probably gave away 100,000 meals. So that's the biggest advice. Like, appreciate the journey, every step. Know that it's going to take some time, but also because you dove head first and stayed about that action to that journey, whenever that big break happens or whenever you might go viral for your work and things blow up, you're already ready and you can have value because you have experience. So that's what I share to that. Go ahead. We'll take 2 more questions. I'm doing 2 more questions. That's cool. Please. One more question. You last one. Last one.
Do I have to reintroduce myself?
No, you don't. Lulu.
Okay, so I don't know about you, but like sometimes like when you're going through life, like you forget your why. So how do you remind yourself of why you're doing it in the first place?
Yeah, so
Without losing.
right. I get what you're saying. I'm gonna tell y'all just because I got an advantage on y'all. I live a little bit, I'm older, so I live a little more life. So when I was your age, that's a great question. Because I had already always tapped back into why am I doing it? Things still pulling me this way, this way.
Yeah.
Now I'm at an age where I never lose sight. And it's harder for me now to lose sight of my why because I have so much responsibilities. And my whys are growing. So every day, even like something I'm working on personally is always because I wear my heart on my sleeve. Y'all can kind of tell I'm emotional, I'm real, I'm transparent, but that doesn't always reflect well in certain rooms. Sometimes I need to hide my emotions. People don't need to know exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
So I work on my emotional intelligence. That's something, you know, I still work for it to this day. So, Lulu.
And I'm losing sight of it right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to remind myself of why am I doing it
Mhm.
in the first place.
I got you. And another thing I would say with those whys, along the line of that journey, celebrate all wins. So like exaggerate small wins. If it's like just passing the class this semester that you thought you were going to fail, celebrate that win hugely. Because it's on your journey, like it was a goal of yours at one point, you accomplished it. Sometimes you can get caught up chasing your why, looking like I don't have everything done yet, that you just missed that success of getting that A when 6 months ago you were afraid that you might not pass. So things like that, being, appreciative and celebrating overcoming challenges helps you with your why. But what you're going through is perfectly normal, especially at your age. But keep stacking up your wins and it'll be so solid. You'll be so confident in yourself and who you are. Nothing to throw you off your pivot. At least I feel like that. You'll find your zone. All right. You will. All right, y'all. So I'm done with questions.
Just want to say thank you for coming and sharing. You said that the greatest human act is to inspire.
Right.
And I know I found the inspiration with your speech, and I'm pretty sure the audience did as well.
All right, man.
Yes. And you've protected your courage while you're here, and at Watson, our phrase is to protect your courage. So we thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then here, tradition is a very big thing. You talk
Yeah.
about purpose and value. And so we value those who come and share their stories. So
Okay.
not all superheroes wear capes, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
definitely get your cape.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Dupree. Thank you. And I think this is please put your hands together for me. This is such a beautiful way to wrap up our Impact Series workshops for the spring semester. Thank you so much, Mr. Dupree, for sharing your story. I was thoroughly inspired. We're grateful for your time, for everything you do for the community at large. And thank you everyone for being a wonderful audience. Thank you. With this, we wrap up.
Can I get a selfie before y'all go?
Yes. We're gonna take a picture outside as well as okay too. So yes,
I think we'll be able to
And we got some pens and like wristbands here too if y'all want some.
right. Hey, y'all gonna take a selfie of all of us, all right? So y'all smile. Everybody gonna be in the camera.
I was excited.
All right. 1, 2, 3. I got it. Thank y'all. I appreciate it.